Welcome to the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. My name is Dan Heifetz. I am joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck, and we are going to preview all of the games in Week 6. If you have start-sit questions, go to fantasyfootball.theringer.com. We update those Sunday morning. You can also follow us on Instagram at Ringer Fantasy Football, on TikTok at Ringer Fantasy Football, and if you care about us, follow us. I'm asking. Everyone's like, oh, like, subscribe. No. I'm actually like, please follow us on Instagram.
Begging.
Ringer Fantasy
I'm
Football. Begging
you.
Yeah, it's pathetic. We're just
I
asking.
will Venmo you $1 if you follow us.
You know how sad it is to sit there and be like, please follow me on social media earnestly. Yeah. It's very pathetic, but like, please do it.
He's borderline groveling at the moment.
It's in the episode description. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok, Ringer Fantasy Football. We're going to get into these games in a moment, but we have to just do a caveat at the behest of Danny Kelly, because if it wasn't enough last week that Craig was traveling for the live rewatchables in New York and got a freaking noise complaint on the Sunday episode last week, I highly recommend you go and listen to it if you haven't seen it. Or on the Instagram, the whole thing's there. Now, DK, you've gone to Palm Springs in California, where it is 107 degrees. And because, Craig, if you want to explain to people, you can explain why. But for audio purposes, you probably need to turn off the air conditioning. So we're doing this episode, and DK is now in a hotel room with no air conditioning, and it's 107 degrees.
Yes, it's 73 degrees in the room currently. I already feel like it's warming up. I'm a little bit nervous about how this is going to go. This is like an oven.
You're like in your own David Blaine experiment right now. This is like a magic trick to see how long you can withstand.
We're doing this for you, the listeners. We're trying to have the audio be actually pretty suitable and good and not crazy to listen to, but I reserve the right to turn on the air conditioning if it starts getting over 80 degrees in here.
DK made the bold choice to wear a light green t-shirt, didn't go with a dark color for some reason.
We're going to just measure the heat by like the pit sway, the pit stains, and like
he's already hallucinating. He can't even talk.
If they get into like my chest region, we're turning on the AC.
I want pit checks every 10 minutes. I want
Let's see, right now they're clean. We're good.
Okay, yeah, looks good.
It's just the shadow. Here, hold on, look. See, that's good.
We'll do the shadow side. Yeah, we'll keep doing pit checks every few games.
Just has anyone done a pod inside of a sauna? There's something there.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I feel like figuring out the equipment is the first issue, but once you solve that, there's
that Rogan studio. Everyone gets sweaty in there. I don't know where.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Paneled,
Texas.
All right, we're gonna get into these games. We'll see which one. We'll see which one of these games makes DK break a sweat. That'll be fun.
I know. I was gonna say, if you guys grill me on something, then it could get even worse here. But we'll see.
Thursday night football tonight. Yeah. So we're recording Thursday. We'll get into all these games. There's a ton of injuries, so keep that in mind with all the discussions we're having. So we're starting with the London game. The 1-4 Jaguars are at quote unquote whatever the Chicago Bears. The Bears are favored by 2.5. So I actually thought this one's funny because Jaguars coach Doug Peterson is in exactly the same position this week as Robert Saleh was last week with the Jets when he got fired. Because we were joking about it, but it's really true. Where Robert Saleh got fired in part because Woody Johnson, ambassador to the UK, was with all his high society British friends and he got embarrassed in front of all them. You know who else has a bunch of high society British friends? Shad Khan, the owner of the Jaguars, who owns a Premier League soccer team and has the Jaguars as the England team. And now the Jags are in London for 2 straight games. If Doug Peterson sucks this week and then the Jags play the Patriots next week also in London, I kind of feel like Doug Peterson could also get fired after embarrassing his owner in England.
England still just has they have an effect on Americans. I feel like there's something there that's still just lingering. It's like a vestigial or whatever. Vestigial limb. There's something England is just still, we still want to impress you guys over there in England still, I think.
It's the accents. We can't get over it.
Why do the accents sound so smart to us? Like, I feel like I can never tell which accents are supposed to be like which class in England. I just like all of them.
Yeah, me too. Same with Australian.
Yeah.
Do you guys think it's kind of unfair that the Jets lost to the Vikings, like the best team in the league, and then they fired Robert Saleh? And it's like, I don't know. It's not like they lost to the Titans. The Jags are playing the Bears. Like if the Bears are favored by 2.5 in this game. Do you think Doug Peterson should be fired if they lose to the Bears?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. You never like to call for someone to be fired because that's just mean, but the Jags are an absolute kind of mess right now. I mean, they're just like so sloppy all the time, so disorganized. It feels like watching them is such a distinct. It's such a contrast to like most teams in terms of just like how everything runs. it's really frustrating. I've mentioned this actually, I think before the season too. It's just like they're just hard to watch sometimes. I don't know why.
I think the Jaguars, again, this sounds like a joke, but it's dead ass true. The Jaguars GMs need Trent Baalke needs to go because it's dead ass true. Like the Jags for 3 years in a row signed a free agent receiver because that receiver played well against the Jaguars. Like literally 3 years in a row. Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, like that's their strategy. That's the extent of their scouting. The front office needs to go, but Doug Peterson's going to pay for it. So we'll see if they win. And
this is a great spot for Caleb. Jacksonville's defense has been terrible.
Yeah, I was going to say on a fantasy note, the Bears rank 7th in DVOA. So that's not great for Jacksonville, but Jacksonville dead last in DVOA. They are giving up the most fantasy points to opposing receivers and quarterbacks, which is great. Love to see that. And also the 6th most points to running backs. So this is a potential rainbow strip game for at least the Bears. And we'll see how Caleb does. He's been basically a little bit better each and every week. Want to see him continue on that trajectory, obviously, not have like a big fallback game. So yeah, if you're starting any of the receivers for the Bears team this week, it's looking good for them.
Game of the year.
This is the game of the year. This was unexpected. Like I feel like every other game of the year, we looked in August and you could figure out which games are going to be the game of the year. No one would have expected this to be the game of the year. No, the 4-1 Commanders are at the 3-2 Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are favored by almost a touchdown. This stat, this is inspired by Austin Gale. Washington's offense, if you just look at points per drive of every team in the 21st century through 5 games, number 1 is the 2020 Green Bay Packers when Aaron Rodgers won the MVP. Number 2 is the greatest show on turf Rams with Kurt Warner, who had just won the Super Bowl, and Kurt Warner just won the MVP. Number 3 is the 2013 Broncos when Peyton Manning threw 55 touchdown passes, which is the record, and then won MVP. Number 4 is this year's Washington Commanders, the Jayden Daniels.
What the hell?
And then the next 2 entries are Tom Brady, including one of them are just Brady, the 16-0 Patriots in 2007. DK, is this Washington team going to come crashing back to earth, or have we actually been like underselling how good the Jayden Daniels Commanders are?
Wait a minute, before DK answers, did every single one of these teams go to the Super Bowl and lose?
Almost. The Rams
Packers didn't.
The Packers lost in the championship game, I think, and then the Rams were between 2 Super Bowl seasons. The Rams actually lost in the wild card round, but the year before and the year after they made the Super Bowl, the Broncos lost in the
Broncos
AFC
lost,
championship
and
game.
both those Brady years they lost, right? Wasn't that the loss to the Falcons? Oh no, I guess that's the year they beat the Falcons, not the Eagles.
Yeah,
year, right?
The 2015
Falcons,
Patriots beat the Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
The 2013 Broncos lost to the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. Actually, no, that's not right. That was the 2014 Patriots, I believe. So that was the year after.
The 15 Pats was the Falcons Super Bowl, right? 2016 Super Bowl.
Like now we're just talking about what year.
Believe so. Yeah,
dude, this is what men talk about. So we might as well just linger here. This is
the
all
2015 Patriots. You get confused with they lost to the Broncos in the playoffs. They did not make.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yep.
But they're the only ones on the list. But the point is, all these teams literally are some of the best teams of the entire 21st century. Like the list it's very like it matches the eye test.
It's essentially NFC Championship or disappointment for the Commanders now.
And MVPs. And so my question, have we been underselling the Jayden Daniels experience? Like what is going on here?
I have no idea, man. I honestly don't know. I don't know what to make of this team because look, I feel like I'm a little gun shy to say that they are this good because of what we saw with the Saints the first 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and then
that's
they
a good point.
completely fell apart. I think right now, if they can stay healthy, if they can keep doing what they're doing, they certainly have a chance to like keep this going. But I think there's just like anything with football. I know this is like a massive caveat, but if they start having a bunch of injuries, it's going to fuck everything up. And so all I know is right now, pretty much every number you look at is incredible. I will say, like, the one thing that makes me pause, and this is something that Steven Ruiz wrote about last week, the one thing that makes me pause is they've been incredible on 3rd and 4th down. And generally speaking, that's not the stickiest stat. It's like hard to continue to be really efficient on those downs. It's just kind of a lot of noise in 3rd and 4th downs. And so, I think that's something to keep an eye on and watch over the next few weeks is like, how well do they convert on 3rd downs? How well do they convert on 4th downs? If they can continue to do that, this will end up being one of the best offenses ever. But I think the odds are it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, Washington's been better on 3rd and long than the Bills have been on 3rd and short, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So, I will just say this. We talked to last year that the last season's Dolphins through 4 or 5 weeks, we're like, we got to nickname this team. We decided greatest show on surf. Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. We need a nickname for the Washington offense. We need a nickname. They're a nickname status. The best I can do right now is the damn Daniels, but that's not good enough. It's kind of pathetic. So, but we need a nickname for the Commanders offense. Jayden Daniels. Emails at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. I think the thing I want to ask you about, DK, because you did so much stuff, you so much research prepping for the NFL draft. You're a draft consigliere here at the Ringer.
Sure.
And I wanted to ask you, obviously, all we're going to hear about in this game is the similarities between Lamar Jackson and Jayden Daniels. And to be honest, we know what the similarities are. You know what I mean? It's like they're black quarterbacks who are really fast, and they run and they throw and they do everything. And like, I think it's much more interesting to focus on what the actual differences are in the game between Jayden Daniels and Lamar, and they're just differences as players. What do you think are some of the things they do differently, DK?
So actually I saw Derek Clausen broke it down really succinctly. And I was like, yes, I agree with almost everything you just said. Basically, Lamar, he's much better, and he has been since going back to college, like very good in the pocket. Like he manipulates the pocket. He tends to stay in there and try and make a play. He doesn't just take off running immediately. You know, he'll like hang out behind the pocket for as long as he possibly can, try and make a play downfield. And he throws over the middle of the field. I think he's a little bit more elusive and dynamic of a runner. I think Jayden Daniels is super fast, but he's a little more straight line-ish. Lamar will make a guy miss and like embarrass him, whereas Jayden Daniels is more just, I'm going to run past you like I'm a Ducati. You know what I mean? Like he's just weaving down the field.
Well, Lamar, if every player in the NFL played a game of tag, the last two guys would be Tyreek Hill and Lamar Jackson.
100%.
And Jayden Daniels, I don't think would win that. He's just slaloms. Yeah, like slaloms through traffic almost.
He's a guy
he's
that
like weaving. He's smooth.
100%. And he like has a way of getting skinny and slipping through like the cracks in the defense.
Yeah,
he is skinny. He's literally skinny, but figuratively and literally, he can get skinny and get through like little gaps in the defense where you don't really expect it. And then I think as a passer, Lamar has always done this. He attacks the middle of the field so well. That's why Mark Andrews has historically until this year been such a high volume passing target for him. He's just so good over the middle of the field. Generally speaking, going back to college, Jayden Daniels much better at attacking outside the hashes. Like I wrote this in my scouting report. He has like a beautiful deep ball, especially down the sidelines. He can drop it in a bucket. He's like Russell Wilson-esque in that ability. So stylistically, they're not like the most similar. I understand like in terms of the way that defenses have to prepare to like face a guy like them in terms of the dual threat nature, it's similar, but like they're different in a lot of ways too. So this is such like the most fun matchup this year so far, I think, because number one, can the Ravens slow down this juggernaut offense that we've seen with the Commanders? That's a huge storyline, and I don't know if they can. And then obviously Lamar, I still it's kind of crazy. Lamar's still underrated. He's won 2 MVPs, and he's like playing better than he's ever played this year, and he might win another MVP.
Dude, Lamar's unbelievable. And also, so look, I live in Washington D.C. and I can't. I know it's so cliche. I can't tell you the energy that Jayden Daniels has brought to Washington, and like this Baltimore-Washington rivalry is super dormant. I don't know if people know this, but DC, the area is called the DMV because it's like the district, Maryland and Virginia, and it really is like the distance between Baltimore and DC. It's really close, and you never know the geography. I for the West Coast people, no one knows what's close on the other side of the country. But like, I can't tell you how much this is a thing, and it really hasn't been a thing. Like Washington versus Baltimore, but like this is kind of epic. Like it really is. Like the infusion of energy. Like the Ravens have been good ever since they went to Baltimore or went back to Baltimore. I guess they had a football team again. Washington, this was the most valuable sports team in the world when Dan Snyder bought it in 2000. Like it was ranked as but like that's how big the fan base was. The energy around this game and around this team around Jayden Daniels, I have heard from people that I haven't heard talk about football in years, just because Jayden Daniels is the quarterback. It's hard to describe the energy here around the game. Yeah. It's everything you kind of think cliche around sports.
Football still has the power to like completely change a city more so than any other sport. Like a good quarterback on a football team that was shitty can truly just change so much about the vibe of a city, the fan base overnight, much more so than like an awesome NBA player who worked out or a baseball player, something like that. Like football can truly transform things when it's like Sunday night and you have an exciting new guy who is going to be the future of a franchise. I feel like it's just like a beacon of hope for a city for like the next decade.
100%. There's
my
like
friend Bobby
in Seattle, there's like Blue Fridays for a long time. Like in the early like Russell Wilson era, when everyone was really getting excited about the Seahawks, everyone in the city is wearing blue. It's like crazy. It's definitely like petered off in the like decade sense, but it was like very uniting, and like there's like a sense of civic pride and all this stuff. It's really cool.
All right, my friend Bobby, shout out my friend Bobby. He's a huge Washington fan. I heard from his dad. His dad texted me. He just texted me out of the blue about this, Jayden Daniels, and he said, Debbie and I take turns reading Jayden Daniels' latest stats out loud to each other every Monday morning.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know. It's
guys, it's gone up 2 degrees. It's already 75 in here.
Is it 75?
Check.
Okay, good.
Looking good so far.
So we're 15 minutes in. It's gone up 2 degrees. So you're looking at maybe another 8 degrees more by the end of this show.
I'm telling you, if it gets over 80, I'm turning on the AC.
Okay. All right. Next up here, we got this one. I don't think will break a sweat, but Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at the New Orleans Saints. So
Rattler season.
Oh my God. First, so Derek Carr has the oblique injury. So Spencer Rattler's starting. Bunch of things here. Number one.
Also, Derek Carr hurt himself throwing the ball. He hurt his oblique throwing the ball, which, Well,
I think it's part of the throwing motion.
Just because he like threw it as hard as he could, essentially, like he
was
it up.
chucking it on Monday. I gotta give it to him. He was chucking it.
I don't know. He threw a deep ball and hurt his oblique to the point where he's going to be out multiple weeks. Kind of an ick for me, to be honest. But
that's like the HR meme.
We're so back with Derek Carr being,
but that's the HR meme too.
You can't even get hit and get injured. You injured on a throw, an untouched throw. Okay.
When Anthony Richardson hurts his oblique, it's like that's fine. When
Derek Carr does it,
in that same game, Craig, this just reminds me, this is super unrelated, but Patrick Mahomes did like a crow hop and threw it as hard as I've ever seen anybody throw a ball. That deep ball, I think it was to Xavier Worthy down the sideline. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like he loaded up and did like a full on crow hop.
Yeah, the crow hop like left fielder or like the right fielder to third. That throw.
Right. That's where I'm like, oh yeah, your dad's a pitcher for the Mets. Right. Yeah, I forgot that. But yeah, so the Bucs are at the Saints. Yeah, so Spencer Rattler is going to start this game. Number one, what is a crazy weekend for the University of Oklahoma, where Baker Mayfield playing Spencer Rattler, number one, and then I know he left the school, but Lincoln Riley, the former coach at Oklahoma, has 5 different quarterbacks under Lincoln Riley are starting this weekend in the NFL. And then Oklahoma is playing number 1 Texas in Red River this weekend. So what a crazy batshit weekend for Oklahoma. Number 2, Rattler's low-key one of the most interesting people in the entire NFL. He was the number 1 prospect in American high school, and it seems like it all went to his head, and he was an asshole. And on that, was it the Netflix show where he was screaming at all his teammates and told them they sucked and they were the reason they would lose? And he's
telling
just
his teammate he's soft.
Yeah. DK, so Rattler,
people
thought just a few years ago he might be the number 1 pick in the draft. He's the 5th rounder this year. DK, what do you make of Spencer Rattler?
Oh man, I'm very excited to see how he plays because on one hand, I think there's a certain reason that he fell in the draft. Number 1, he's like 6 foot tall. He's not fast. He ran a 4.95, so he's not like a mobile guy.
You could get Craig to a 4.99.
I know. He's like about exactly as fast as Craig is, which is either good or bad.
And I got 2 inches on him.
I know. And Craig, you probably, a little more maneuverable in the pocket. Get skinny through the hole. But yeah, so I think Rattler, there's obvious limitations here. And he was benched for a reason at Oklahoma. And Caleb was way better than him, obviously. And so there's like a lot of reasons that he did fall. But in terms of arm talent, he has a great arm. He can really like throw off platform. He can really launch it down the field. And I think there's some natural talent there. And that's the reason he was the number 1 overall recruit coming out of high school. Like there's some real natural talent there. Plus he was obviously, humbled in college, being benched for the eventual Heisman guy, the eventual top overall pick in the draft. He fell the 5th round. It was almost funny going back and watching that video today of him just like getting into it with his teammate. Cause I'm like, he was just such a cock, such a dick.
Dude, he's a literal sports movie villain. He's literally the villain.
He looks
in a
like one
movie.
too.
Yeah. And then so and he's faced some adversity. He got humbled. He had to transfer. He had to stay for a 5th year.
So you think this is overall good for him? The kind of the ego rehabilitation.
It might be.
Okay.
I mean, it is for some people for sure. And I thought he looked decent in the preseason. I'm kind of excited to see how this all goes. So I do think it's tough though.
His play style is a guy who takes shots, right? Like he is not a conservative. He's not a Bo Nix type.
He showed a little bit of that. He showed a little of both in college. His ADOT was not very high this last year. I think he was trying like really hard to like take better care of the football, not make so many turnovers because he is a guy that will chuck it deep. He has the physical ability for sure to go vertical. So he's got a little bit of both. I think he's more capable of having a vertical type offense though than Bo Nix.
I also have to say, for fantasy purposes, if you have Chris Olave, one, Rashid Shaheed's just been straight up better than Chris Olave. That's annoying. Number two, Rashid Shaheed went on the injury report today, Thursday. Check whatever you're listening to this. Check whatever the status of Shaheed is. Rattler, one of the first things he said in his press conference when he was going to be the starter this week.
Yeah, Olave,
was they asked him about Chris Olave, and he's like, yeah, I get Chris Olave the ball when I play on the field. I make a huge point to throw it to Chris Olave.
Smart.
And sometimes in life, it is that simple. And so I actually think you should play Chris Olave this week. I think Chris Olave probably will have the best game of the season just because I think Spencer Rattler kind of knows where his bread's buttered. And knows
do you think
Chris Olave happy will be good for his career?
Is this like a potential disaster spot? This is a rookie 5th rounder going up against Todd Bowles, blitz heavy Todd Bowles defense. Even though the Bucs defense hasn't been great, like, is this a potential blow up spot where all these Saints players are going to have terrible games?
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
Here's the deal.
100,000%. Yeah.
I think part of the reason they had so much success in weeks 1 and 2, the Saints did, is they had their run game really rolling. And I think a big part of that was their offensive line had been executing much more efficiently and much better, blocking much better than people expected them to coming into the season. However, Eric McCoy, their center, who's really good, and maybe like the straw that stirs the drink for that run game, got hurt. He's on IR. Cesar Ruiz also hurt. Talise Fuaga is a rookie. Taysom is hurt. I think and we do the Taysom bit all the time. I know that's like it sounds like I'm being not serious here, but like I think Taysom is actually kind of a big part of the run game in terms of their short yardage success rate. Like his success rate as a runner is like 75%. He's so good in those must-have situations. And so
you don't know how to ID him. The defense doesn't know how to ID him because he can throw, he can block, he can run. There's no one in the NFL like that you actually have to think. You have to consider that every time he's on the field.
It's it's like
there's a reason he plays.
Heifetz, you've made this comp. It's like the 49ers and Kyle Juszczyk. It's like he does the dirty work. Throw. Yeah. So anyways, I think all these injuries certainly have kind of made their run game fall apart, and it's just hard to rely on a 5th round rookie if you're just like hoping to elevate just the passing attack with no run game. So it could be really tough.
Feels like a Kiera game to me. He was actually pretty good. DK, you talked about Rattler like watering down his game a little bit at South Carolina. He was pretty good against the blitz, and he threw to his tight ends and running backs a ton in his last year. So I could see them playing it safe here. And this is like one of those classic Kiera has 10 catches games.
I could absolutely see that too. Yeah.
So, and next up, so we have the Panthers are 1-4 at the Falcons, who are 3-2. The Falcons are giving 6 points in this game. And I kind of want to combine this with the Bucs Saints thing and just one big ol' shout out Dan Comer, who works here at the Ringer. He's a Falcons fan. He pointed this out to me. The NFC South is really fun now.
Yeah.
Like the NFC South, like you see, even Panthers Falcons, which on the surface, like Panthers Falcons. Dude, last week, Kirk Cousins, 509 passing yards on Thursday Night Football. I mean, they're usually so sloppy on Thursday. They got down, they had that drill to go to overtime. Like they got the ball spiked way faster than I thought a team actually was capable of doing it. Like Kirk, career high in completions and attempts and yards last week. And the Falcons offense has the highest rate of 10-yard plays this year of any team. They get 10 yards on a play more than any team in the league. And you look at the Falcons with Kirk, Panthers, but like the Bucs with Baker Mayfield, and Baker's 11 touchdowns, 2 picks. You know what I mean? And the Saints with even the Saints when they're bad, they're kind of interesting. Like Kiera checkdowns are cool. Taysom Hill getting the bar is interesting. Derek Carr chucking the ball up to Shaheed, even when it's incomplete, it's fun. Like the NFC South is actually like really entertaining as a product, which I don't think I've ever felt as entertained by these games as I have this season.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe I guess Brady Breeze was cool, but that was an exception. And then also we got to mention Bijan Robinson has another hamstring injury. It's Thursday. We don't know the deal. We don't know what's going on. So like whatever you're listening to, check on the latest with Bijan Robinson. And good luck with that.
Incredibly annoying. I feel like he's been hurt for 3 weeks. He's popped up. There's been like a hamstring issue with him for multiple weeks now. And maybe that's playing into why he hasn't been getting the ball much.
If you play, you have to play him though, just because the Panthers defense is so bad that you do have to play Bijan if he plays. Next up here, the Texans are at the New England Patriots. Texans are giving 7 points. Drake Maye is going to play. He's going to start for the New England Patriots. Before we can get into that, I kind of feel like this is the first time I really, really felt the Bill Belichick being gone aspect, because I think Bill Belichick would have died before he announced a quarterback change 5 days in advance publicly.
I know. Was it Mayo just kind of like sick of people asking him about it?
Kind of feels like it.
I think so. Like, Belichick just announced, like Belichick would have just at 12:58 would have just like submitted, like set him on the field, and everyone would be like, Drake Maye's on there. I feel like that we would have found out.
That's one of the hallmarks of an experienced coach is just not giving in to peer pressure, not peer pressure, but like media pressure or whatever, where it's just like you're getting asked about it every time. Just give a canned boilerplate answer for everything. That is like the surest sign that you've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, it's like feeling security in yourself and your job. It's like on the one side of the spectrum is like Belichick and Popovich, who are like, I will literally not answer your question if I don't want to on camera, and I don't give a shit. And the other side is what we're seeing here, where he basically got bullied into starting Drake May.
Yeah, I know. So on that note, I think I wanted. So again, you did such an amazing stuff this draft season. In particular, I thought you crushed it with all this work you've done on these prospects. And I want to ask you about the decision to play Drake May this week. Why are you laughing, Craig? Why is that funny?
Nothing. Men
need to earnestly compliment each other.
I was laughing about the way DK said thank you. Thank you. Like he was like collecting his paycheck. I never know
should I interject and say thank you, or should I just let him keep talking and not sound like I'm
not
grateful?
I think men really struggle with compliments. Men don't know what to do when they get complimented.
No, men don't know what to do when they get complimented. Email us at ringoffantasyfootball@gmail.com if you know why men don't.
Yo, tell me what to do.
Complimented.
Why do we just like do like the bow, the prayer sign and bow.
Yeah. No. Yeah, do that sure. Next time.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay.
So anyways, I want
DK's overheating.
It's hot in here, guys. 76. Really close.
That actually is hot.
Yeah.
That's pretty hot. So the Patriots, they've started 5 offensive line combinations in 5 weeks. Jacoby Brissett has been pressured on the most, like 46% highest of any quarterback through 5 weeks since like 2006, which again, part of that's on Jacoby Brissett. And I'm torn because I understand all the arguments of like, oh, you should not submit Drake May to this, but I'm kind of like, I'm curious what you think, DK. I think it'll be fine, and this is the right decision, and he's going to be way better than Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah. Ultimately, that's where I am. I think that you can thread the needle with these things a little bit better maybe than they're doing this in this specific case.
A little clunky.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think playing is going to help him more than sitting. And I think he's better. And I think that's probably a big reason why they went with him. And I think the locker room was starting to get like frustrated. There was like whispers of this coming out the last few weeks. And you know, he was getting a lot of reps in practice. Like, I don't know if you guys remember this, but like he was getting a third of the practice reps, starters reps or whatever. And so that's very, very rare for an NFL team to do that, to give.
And apparently he's been very good in practice. It's not like he was bad and they've been waiting for him to improve.
That's what they deserve the benefit of the doubt, is they watch practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ultimately, like, yes, I think this is a good thing. I hope I expect that he'll struggle. I expect it's going to be not pretty like all the time. But he's big, really strong, really athletic, and really creative as a out of structure playmaker. So like, I think he's going to flash. There's going to be some very good things here. He produced 34 big time throws in 2023, which was second only to Michael Penix in the FBS. He runs and scrambles a lot. There's like a famous play where he scrambled out of the pocket and threw with his left hand. He's right-handed, by the way. He threw with his left hand a touchdown, a guy that came open. It was like an out of structure play. He's a guy that like will scramble and run more than you think. I think we saw that in the preseason. Like he scored a couple touchdowns running around. So he gives them a little bit of that. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So he gives them a little bit. I think just more dynamism. It's just harder to defend as a defense because he can scramble around and run around and just makes it a little bit more, puts more pressure on you.
Also, like, you know, I feel like you can make the case. It's like the classic argument when like a rookie quarterback steps in. It's like, well, you know, it could be a higher ceiling, you know, because he's more talented than the current quarterback, but it's also a lower floor. And I'm like, I don't even know if it is a lower floor than Jacoby Brissett. Like, I feel like even the worst Drake May can't really be worse than the current Patriots Jacoby Brissett offense. I feel like it's kind of only upside. It's like, it's easy to figure out how I can make money on this, the Drake May situation, which I got to say, if you're looking to add somebody now off waivers that you think might potentially be harder to grab next week, Jayden Polk is very under rostered right now in fantasy leagues. He's the rookie out of Washington. He's kind of their de facto number one now. Last week, he played 100% of the snaps. He's been playing more each week, 100% last week, and has been playing a lot with Drake May in practice. And, you know, the rookie connection thing, if he has a big week this week, you know, a rookie quarterback can change a lot. And as we've seen what he's done to Jay Daniels has done to Terry McLaurin. So like, if Jayden Polk has 6 catches for 80 yards this week, he will be the top waiver ad next week. So if you want to get ahead of that, just grab him now.
It's an excellent call. And in case you do need a receiver, maybe you need a receiver because Texans, another midweek injury. Nico Collins had this hamstring injury that he went back in the game on Sunday, and then he's now on injured reserve and will miss at least 4 games for the Texans.
You know what's funny about this is while this is so devastating and brutal for somebody who has Nico Collins on their team like I do and who just absolutely loves it. He became my favorite player watching him this year. When they put him on IR rather quickly, my first thought was this is a well-coached team. I was like, this is what you should do.
Diluting themselves.
Yeah, the Texans are 4-1, and he's their best player other than CJ Stroud. And you know what? Rushing him back in a week or two, which he probably wanted to do, and having him just have a lingering hamstring injury all year. It's no, we're going to see you for a month. When you come back, we'll still be good. We'll still be in playoff contention, and then we'll have you healthy. It's a bummer, and it sucks for fantasy. But in real life, I was like, DeMeco Ryans, good call.
Yeah,
I think that's a great call. I totally agree. And also I totally agree. And for fantasy purposes, dude, Tank Dell, come on, man. This is your moment. Please.
Come on, baby.
Please, man.
Seriously.
And then speaking of the AFC South, we also have the Colts. We're at the Tennessee Titans this week. Titans are 1-4. Colts are giving 1 point. First of all, historic game for Brawlick quarterbacks.
Brawlick.
If it ends up being Anthony
Is that
Richardson,
a real word?
No, is Brawlick not a real word? I don't know.
Does that just mean ripped?
Yeah. You never heard Brawlick?
Brawny?
I don't know if I've heard. For some reason, Brawlick sounds like a word in my head, but I can see what it means, but I don't know if I've ever used it.
Urban Dictionary says very built or diesel, ready to fight at any time.
But is it a real word?
I don't think so.
I don't
know.
More
like slang.
Nice. That's cool. Did you make that up?
I highly doubt it.
It's Old Irish Gaelic for chest.
Oh.
Brawlick.
It's Gaelic? Get the fuck out of here. It's Gaelic.
Yeah.
I did not just say a Gaelic word by accident.
I
thought it was some dumb shit my friends made up in 7th grade. I don't know.
But what you're saying, this is really all-time ripped quarterback.
Just
matchup.
veiny.
Well, it's just 4% body mass, 54% completion for Levis and Richardson. If they play, I don't know. You know what I mean?
We've now referred to Levis as both Brawlick and vascular.
Vascular, yes.
Vascular.
That guy.
But
he's just so veiny.
But yeah, I don't actually know if Richardson will play because he's got this oblique injury.
I think he's going to play.
Yeah, he's playing.
I think it's weird because if the oblique, I don't know if he can throw, it's because it's not arm strength. It's fucking core strength. It's about your ability to transfer it from your toes to your fingers. And the oblique is important. And I don't think Anthony Richardson can throw 70 yards. Derek Carr literally explained this week. He's like, I literally can't throw the same because of my oblique. And maybe he's weak and frail, and Richardson, cool, big guy. But kind of think they should just play Joe Flacco, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, if they want to play it safe, which it seems like the Colts have, Pittman is going to be out for multiple weeks. The Colts are just really beat up right now. Richardson's got the oblique. Pittman's out with a back injury that popped up kind of out of nowhere.
Another midweek dude. And now Josh Downs also hasn't been practicing Thursday.
He has a toe injury, so it's all right, now we have
toe injuries. Those
so
are always
humiliating.
Great.
I know turf toe is worse than it sounds, but it's so humiliating to be toe, singular, one toe.
They got to just call it broken toe or something.
Because it's a ligament. Yeah, just call it foot. You know what I mean? That's not you need your foot.
Yeah, like a foot ligament tear. That sounds serious.
Ligament. Put ligament.
I know. And Jonathan Taylor's also might not play because he's still recovering from a high ankle sprain. So they're looking at Trey Sermon, A.D. Mitchell, and Alec Pierce as
Sermon has a collarbone injury too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole team's kind of messed up.
I think I heard, did you hear that the Colts wide receivers coach called Alec Pierce white chocolate?
No, you mean also receivers coach, you mean Reggie Wayne?
Maybe. Hold on. Somebody has mentioned this to me, and I didn't look into it yet.
No, you're good. But the receivers coach of the Colts, I believe, is Reggie Wayne.
I know. You're right. I'm realizing this in retrospect. Yeah, Reggie Wayne. Oh my God. Hold on.
Are you sweating? How's the pits doing, DK?
I am so warm. It 77? Is getting warm in here.
Woo!
The air is just getting heavy.
It's going to be so nice when you're done. You just pop outside, cool off.
I want to burn. Is
DK still looking? Did you find it or not?
I don't know. I don't see the actual quote, but someone on Twitter who is you can never go wrong if you listen to that said that Reggie Wayne called Alec Pierce white chocolate.
Oh, cool.
I'm just gonna assume it's true.
Yeah, it's third hand through the internet. That's legit.
I know this spread is -1. The Colts are favored by 1. we haven't mentioned Costanza yet today. I have a few thoughts on some games we've already mentioned, but for this game, it obviously it doesn't really make sense on the surface to label a game with a 1-point spread a Costanza candidate. But I'm like, I don't know who's taking the Titans in this game. I feel like this is a weird -1 game where the Titans are kind of a Costanza, and I actually don't hate it because I'm like, the Colts D is really, really bad. I got a stat from Jacob Gibbs, who has a great newsletter at CBS. Trevor Lawrence last week, who played the Colts defense, was pressured once on 34 dropbacks last week, which is the lowest pressure rate since the stat was invented in 2013. It's been 5,000 games and no one has been pressured less than Trevor Lawrence was last week against the Colts. And I'm like, man, the Colts have no one on fucking offense. If Will Levis can't win this game, it's over.
That's a great Costanza, Craig. It's an amazing stat, and it's a great Costanza because especially if Flacco plays, no one's betting on the Titans. No one is betting Will Levis over Joe Flacco.
It's a bizarre
But that's
spread.
what's going to happen. Levis will beat Joe Flacco.
Have you ever seen a 1-point spread where no one is taking one of the teams? And they're home. They're at home.
It's an elite call. That's such an elite call. I think we locked this in. Titans money line.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and Caleb Williams have all had 300 yards against the Colts this year.
Yeah, DK, you down? I think you're dead on. No one's going to bet on the Titans in this game.
Titans, I don't know. The Titans still feel plucky to me. Still kind of into it. Yeah.
I think this is sick.
I like their run game.
I'm kind of working on a theory. Let me know what you think about this. Do you guys think the O-line is too good for Anthony Richardson? Like that he'd be better if the O-line sucked?
I think
because he would scramble more, maybe?
Yeah, because I think he's trying to linger in the pocket too long. And when he does that, he kind of panics and makes a bad throw. I would rather have him drop back, first read. Is it there? No. Take off.
Just playing on instinct.
That was how I thought Saquon did with the Giants, was like, because the line was bad, he got to hunt for home runs and he got to be like a 3 true outcome guy instead of just getting base hits. And that really is why Flacco is playing well, right? It's like Joe Flacco comes in and just completes passes. And he's like a dad who's like, clothes are so out of style, they're actually really cool now. Which, like, Joe Flacco ran out of the league 8 years ago and because all he did was take what the defense gives him, and they needed Lamar Jackson to make plays and like create out of structure. And now 8 years later, Anthony Richardson was drafted to make plays, create out of structure, and the defense is like, I bet you can't just take what we're going to give you. And Joe Flacco comes in and he's like fucking Homelander looking around like, everyone's cheering for this? Like, he's just taking goddamn completions.
Yeah, he's like,
whoa.
He's like taking his time in the pocket, going through his progressions and then checking down. And Anthony Richardson is like, I can't do that.
It's unbelievable. My God. But yeah, it's just like, damn, everyone likes this outfit. I just bought this. Like, yeah, it's like you would show the dads with the Hokas and the champion stuff, but like before it was cool.
Yeah, like Asics.
Dude, I was legit wearing champion stuff when I was in middle school. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
my dad has some elite photos in like champion hoodie and some Asics with some mid-high socks. I'm like, this rips.
I see pictures of myself when I was like 9 or 10, and I'm like, damn, I would wear that now.
Dude, that's so true. Kid photos from the 90s. Heifetz, I'm sure you have them too. There's photos of me when I'm like 5 years old, and I'm just like, I got better clothes than I do now.
Dude, yeah. No, I felt that
now
way.
I have clothes like a dickhead.
I'm literally in a polo I wore to an event today. I look like an asshole.
Email us at RiggerFantasyFootball@gmail.com if you think you dressed better when you were like 6 years old.
I wish I wasn't wearing this fucking shirt.
All right, next up here. Browns are at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are giving 8.5 points. I have exactly 2 thoughts in this game. One, shout out to James Tator at SB Nation. Who
I think this is the best tweet I've seen in a long time.
This is
we have real stats.
Write this down for when we do the rewatchables on the season at the end of the year. This is the best stat of the year. James Tator tweeted, since being traded to the Cleveland Browns, Deshaun Watson has settled more lawsuits than he has thrown touchdown passes.
23-19.
Brutal.
There's nothing that needs to be said more about the Cleveland Browns than that.
I know. You know what sucks is, so last week, the Browns played the Commanders, and they kind of got boat raced, and they were our Costanza, rightfully so, because who was betting on the Browns in that game? Once again, they're on the road against a team that is much better than them. And unfortunately, like, man, if nobody's taking the Titans against the Colts, nobody is taking the Browns against the Eagles coming off a bye. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are going to be back. But like, by the letter of the law, of our Lord and Savior, George Costanza. Like, this is a Costanza.
Maybe. Well, the Phillies just lost in the playoffs, so it's in the water in Philly for like the pessimism. I will just say this. If the Eagles lose this game,
true.
If the Eagles lose as 8.5-point favorites at home, off a bye, to the Cleveland Browns, I do think Nick Sirianni's fired on Monday morning. So,
yeah. But there's a line in Super Troopers, Craig, that is like, our shenanigans are fun and hilarious, or I don't know exactly what he says, and his shenanigans are mean and tragic, and I'm just like, the Costanza should be fun, cheeky and fun, not mean and tragic.
Will Levis, that's cool.
Like, this doesn't feel like this. I think violates the rules of the Costanza just because this is mean and tragic.
The opposite. What do you do? I root for Deshaun Watson now. Yeah, no, not that.
Maybe we just remove the Browns. We don't even consider them one of the teams in the league. It's just 31 teams.
Yeah, I think we need an expansion. That's a good call. Next up, the Cardinals are at the Green Bay Packers this week. Packers are giving 5.5 points. To tell you the truth, I think it's an interesting game. I think Kyler and Jordan Love are exciting.
Yeah.
LaFleur's a good coach. I think we could talk about this game after it happens. My main thought on this game is that I can't believe Kyler Murray got a Call of Duty sponsorship.
Yeah.
Did you see this?
This is an all-time dunk. I love this.
He's tweeted out to the trolls who memed me into a bag.
I want to get memed into a bag.
Yeah, dude. Can someone meme us into a bag?
Somebody meme me into a bag.
I like that phrase. I had never heard that before. Did he come up with that?
Into a bag. I'm officially launching my Call of Duty partnership. #
God, that's good.
Partnership. Fuck, dude. We should be.
How is this not against his contract, though? Let's be honest.
He can't play it, but he can be a sponsor.
He's like, I'm not allowed to play. You guys can play, though.
Contract loophole.
I know. That'd be like John Mulaney in an alcohol commercial. It just would make sense.
Oh, my God. Also, wait, who is this guy playing him in the commercial?
Is he going to be a character in the game, Kyler Murray? Like, what is the sponsorship?
I think that's Fortnite, but do you see this actor? He's like a total that guy on the rewatchables. Like, he's like this actor who played him in this video he tweeted. He's like, enough questions. Who is this guy?
I'm looking at him right now.
He's a henchman in like every movie.
Yeah, I don't know. So I
that guy.
Oh yeah, he's in John Wick. Kai just texted. He's in John Wick.
Oh, John Wick, is he?
And like a bunch of other movies. He's like stereotypical.
I just picture him with a Russian accent for some reason.
I don't play a lot of Call of Duty. Can Kyler be a character in that, or is that not how that works?
No, that's Fortnite.
I know what Fortnite is. I know you can, but you can't be a character in Call of Duty. Is that not how that works?
To my knowledge, no. But maybe I'm really washed.
All right. Kai just said yes, he can.
Oh, Kai said young person. What? You can play as Kyler in Call of Duty now?
I'm saying, can you be characters? Like,
that's kind of an advantage because he's small. Because like, there's Kevin Durant's a character, but like Kevin Durant's twice as tall. It's like an elite in Halo.
If you have like a wide open like headshot available, you can like put your thumb up or whatever. Like you did.
Yeah. Imagine Kyler launching a grenade. 60
scrambles out of the pocket, does the 360 turn.
Imagine him like leading some Nazi with a grenade.
There you
Lands
go.
right on him.
Wow. I know Craig hasn't played Call of Duty in forever because
it's not Nazis anymore.
It hasn't been Nazis since we were in middle school.
Well, it's a great villain. Bring him back.
DK's gonna look like the Red Skull by the end of this pod.
It is, dude. Basically, every Indiana Jones movie, they were like, we'll just do Nazis again. And it worked.
Yeah. All right. Next up here, the Lions are at the Cowboys this week. Lions are giving 3.5 points. This is the rematch of the eligible offensive lineman controversy, where last year there's 20 seconds left and the Lions were down 1 point, and instead of kicking an extra point to tie, they went for 2 to take the lead, and they threw it, and they did the trick where they tried to trick the Cowboys into which offensive lineman was eligible, and they did the trick so well, they tricked the refs, and then the refs pretended that they were like, no, you did it wrong, we didn't get confused, but they got confused, and they lied about it. And all I'll say about this is the key to this game very much is penalties, because the Cowboys are the most
said that
penalized.
So well.
I know. I actually think about it now because I know I said
that was a great job.
Maurice Counts,
nice job.
Pouncey, Marquise Pouncey, whatever. Penalties. But the Lions are the most penalized defense in the league. And Terrion Arnold should basically play with oven mitts, as Troy Aikman said. And then the Cowboys have the most penalized special teams in the league. And yet, I very rarely believe, 99.9% of conspiracy refs are stupid, or conspiracy theories, the referees are very stupid. This I believe I'm right on. Because the NFL does not want to remind everyone of how much they botched the Lions-Cowboys game last year. Botched job. The crew that has been assigned to this game is John Hussey, and John Hussey's crew is called the second fewest penalties of any crew this entire season.
Let the boys play.
I heard they're not giving them any whistles.
Yeah, no whistles, but like there's a
yell.
reason to me that these two teams are not being assigned a very flag-heavy crew, and I think the key to the game is like basically if they let them play.
Let the boys play. Get the refs out of my sport.
Let the boy watch.
Ashley Schaefer.
That was Goodell. He's like, let the players watch.
I love
let the refs watch.
The scenes where he breaks Craig Robinson.
A bluish shoe.
My plums.
John Hussey. What a last name.
Dude, all right, okay. I was talking this also with Dan Comer. The refs' names, we've never talked about this. Dude, John Hussey, Cleat Blakeman.
Yeah, Cleat Blakeman.
Cleat Blakeman.
That's a tongue twister.
Names are
name.
crazy.
Cleat.
Hockley's son, right? What's his name?
Sean Hockley.
Sean
Wait,
Hockley.
here. You guys want to, the ref crew names are crazy. Wait, here, look.
Kai says Land Clark.
Land Clark?
Land.
His name is Land?
Clark.
His name is Land. Land Clark.
I love Land.
It's got to be short for Landon or something, right?
I love Land.
Land
I love Land.
Clark.
His
Land
name is Vincent Land Clark.
No shit.
And
Wait,
for
outside
some
of
reason,
the league,
some bizarre choice, he decided to go with Land.
Land Clark is the chief building official for the city of Albuquerque.
The chief, give me that. How do I get that job? The chief building official.
He's the chief building official, and his name is Land.
Wow.
Do you think he Do you think he switched names after getting that job?
Nominative determinism.
Nominative determinism. I don't even know what it is
Land
anymore because I said it wrong
is
so
the
many
chief
times.
building official.
Like, is that an elected role? Do you think he was like, hey, in my campaign, I think I'm going to change my name to Land. I think it'll give me an edge.
He's in charge of enforcing codes for every building within the jurisdiction of the municipality.
That's like the most. Can you imagine a more
ref.
bureaucratic job than that? Say that again. He's in charge of enforcing
codes for every building within the jurisdiction of the municipality of Albuquerque.
within the jurisdiction of the municipality.
And his name's Land Clark.
Land
and he's
Clark.
basically a land clerk.
Heifetz, do you think your career would be further along right now if your name was Football Heifetz? Legally?
My middle name is Football.
Well,
What if his name was Pod? Like Pod, like in Game of Thrones?
Give him a pod. Dude,
Pod.
I can't believe this guy's a land clerk is a land clerk. That's unbelievable. That's
Land.
holy shit.
I'm trying to think if I know anyone named Land. I think he might be the only person I know
Of
named
course
Land.
you don't. It's not a name.
Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com about more ref names, names, whatever.
Do you think what do you think the odds are that anyone who listens to our show's name is Land?
Oh, if you are named Lamb, email us at ringerfantasyfootball.
Should we do a poll and it's just, is your name Land?
Yeah, let's do it.
So no. All we need
Yes
is
or no, it's your name Land.
The people that see it are like and don't know the context. They'll be like, "Wait, what? Like, why
the
you
one guy
asking me
named
that?"
Land just scrolls down.
Land Clark listens to the show.
We'll
If anyone knows
The
Land
AI
Clark
is
or lives in
taking over.
Albuquerque,
We'll do that poll. Scroll down
statistically, someone who listens to the show in Albuquerque has dealt with Land Clark, bureaucrat. You know what I mean?
should the poll be, is your name Land or / do you know a Land? Or should it just be
No,
is
just is your name Land?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is your name?
Please-
Yeah, vote in the
please vote.
Spotify poll, please.
Okay.
Follow us on Instagram too. We'll run an Instagram poll. Ringer Fantasy Football Instagram. All right. Yeah, Lions Cowboys. That'll be fun. And also, Michael Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence aren't going to play a week after Jared Goff. 5 of the 7 front 7 players the Seahawks were missing, and Jared Goff literally didn't incomplete a pass. So
18
good
out
luck.
of 18.
He playing really nicey.
He real nice, dude. Gruden's a psycho. No, don't give Gruden any free plugs. Fuck that. Follow us on TikTok. Ringer
He's
Fantasy.
just so good at it.
No. If
The
you're going to
Gruden
follow,
talk.
if you have to decide between us and Gruden on TikTok, pick Gruden, man.
Yeah, no, it's pretty. He's nice. he's nicey.
The most entertaining content I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, he's.
We're not
fucking
going to blow
nicey.
smoke up your ass. Ours is not as
18 for
entertaining.
18.
No, it's
I
not.
couldn't do that in pregame warm-up.
No, it's not. It's not good. Nice.
Boom. What does he say?
Who?
I love it. I couldn't do that in pregame warm-up.
It's got me feeling nicey.
Shred him, Jared. Fuck.
I think I can't remember who pointed this out, but it was like he's just literally reading like box scores.
He's not getting into anything deep. He's like 18 for 18, 3 touchdowns. I couldn't do that in pregame warm-ups.
Oh my God.
I think we should shutter our TikTok because Gruden is beating us so badly. It's
Should
so
we just
good.
make the TikTok only Gruden impressions? And we just everything's a duet of Gruden?
Yeah, we should do that. We'll just duet and then be next to him, like writhing.
Write
back
that
and
down.
forth.
Write that down.
Why is it's like he's like in a really dark room? He's like sweaty.
It's like he's getting interrogated. That's what it looks like. There's like a lamp on him in a dark room at a police station.
All right. Next up, the Chargers are at the Broncos. The Chargers injury update. Here's all you need to know about the Chargers injury situation. They did that dreaded thing where they tweeted out the injury report and you had to zoom in to read it because there were so many names on it. They had to put them in like 8-point font. And so you never want to have to zoom
like
in
microfilm.
On
you have to
Especially
get out the
coming
little,
off
like the JFK Zapruder.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like they 3 quarterbacks, 3 linebackers, Joey Bosa, Cam Dicker, the kicker is sick. Like Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater.
Dicker
like,
is sick.
Dicker
the kicker is sicker.
Dicker the kicker is sicker.
Also, this is tough. Coming out of a bye, having this many injuries still, not great.
It's crazy. But yeah,
Dude, the Chargers are just chargering.
Yes, and so they are not, in fact, harder to break yet. And they're facing the Broncos defense, which is extremely legit.
Yeah, Surtain is like defensive player of the year candidate. I feel like Surtain deserves to be more famous. He needs to get the famous cornerback treatment. Usually every 5 years, there's like a Revis, a Sherman.
He needs to be more of a diva.
For a while. Yeah, maybe Champ Bailey on the Broncos. Like, I feel like cornerbacks are weirdly famous amongst people who like enjoy the sport. And
talk about nominative determinism, dude. Champ Bailey was the best name ever.
Pat Surtain's a good name.
His dad was he was a pro.
I just think he deserves a little bit more.
I think that's fair.
Champ Bailey had his whole family had interesting names. I'm trying to remember now. Hold on, I'll look it up. Keep talking.
Is there a Land Bailey?
While you're looking it up, there's only been 2 cornerbacks who have won an MVP, who have won a Defensive Player of the Year in the last 15 years. Who is it?
Gilmore. Patriots.
Gilmore.
That's just because no one broke 16 sacks and they couldn't think of anyone.
And then this one was in 2009, the other one.
Oh, Revis.
No. According to this, Champ Bailey,
2009.
Champ Bailey has one brother named Ronald and another brother named Boss.
Boss?
Wait, Boss, Champ, and Ronald?
Well, Champ's real name is Roland. So I think it's like more of a nickname, but he also has a brother named Boss.
That was like
Boss
those brothers
Bailey.
at Oregon State where one was named Jaquiz and the other was just Michael.
I love that.
Like if you're Ronald and your brother gets to go by Champ, like you got done
Bailey.
dirty.
Would you rather be named Champ or Boss?
Champ.
They're both kind of like
Champ, Boss, Ronald. Not even close in that order.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like what's the word when you're just being like really you're like sunning somewhere or whatever. I can't think of
when
the
you're
word,
sweating and your brain's overheating in a
I
hotel
can't
room in Palm
think,
Springs. I
can't think straight. It's like a parent talking to a child. Patronizing.
Patronizing. There you go.
Yeah. It's like when you like say something patronizing to like someone that you don't know, you're like calling them a champ or boss or chief or
Chief.
Mac.
Oh yeah, Chief.
Like condescending
the South Park
guy.
bit. The South Park bit where you're like, I'm not your guy, Chief. I'm not your chief.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, buddy.
Champ and boss. All right,
wait,
boss.
Craig, who was the other defensive player of the year? It was a cornerback. It wasn't Revis?
Charles Woodson.
Oh yeah, that year he forced like 7 fumbles, right?
Yeah. Also, I will say, quick fantasy note on this game. I will say, if you're struggling, you got buys, you have Michael Pittman or Nico Collins or something. I do think Ladd McConkey's a good play this week. Surtain plays 90% of the time on the outside. He's going to be on either Quentin Johnston or my beloved Josh Palmer. And Ladd's getting better and better every week. They play a lot of man, the Broncos, and Ladd's killing it versus man this year. So
speaking of man-to-man, I mean, Greg Rosenthal mentioned this on his show, but like Riley Moss, the Broncos, he's like the white he's the first white cornerback since like Jason Sehorn.
Boss
and
Moss.
He's playing fantastic.
I think his PFF score is actually better than Pat Surtain's right now, Riley Moss.
Yeah, and Riley Cooper, and like no one is not Riley Cooper, Jesus Christ. Riley Moss is playing, I mean, he's really good, and frankly, people called him a safety because he was white, but like Riley Moss versus Ladd McConkey, who basically is like white Garrett Wilson. That's something. I haven't seen that in a while. So, it's back to the days of Cloyce Box.
I haven't seen in a while.
So you had to go, the Cloyce Box days. But but the Broncos defense is really incredible.
God,
so,
it's
all right,
hot
next
in
up
here.
We got Steelers are at the Raiders. Steelers giving 3.
78. We're up to 78, guys.
78. All right, we should get going. We should wrap this up.
If
you got this.
If the Steelers lose this game, I think Russell Wilson starts next week.
To Aiden O'Connell, who's he's the worst quarterback in the NFL, I think.
Deshaun Watson.
I'd rather have Watson. Well, I would not him specifically, but like.
Wait, you'd rather have you think AOC is that bad?
You'd rather hang out with Deshaun Watson than AOC? Is that what you said?
Austin Gale, who works here at the Ringer, is like a Raiders fan, and like hearing what he's like, the disgust in his voice that every time Aiden O'Connell throws a pass, and then it's all I can think about when I watch Aiden O'Connell. I'm like, yeah, this guy sucks. But
I think he's fine. So he's fine.
I think the vibes in Pittsburgh like aren't great. Pickens is really upset. He's making business decisions just like the Raiders are. I do think if they lose, Russell Wilson starts next week. They can't lose 3 straight against the Raiders. Come on.
There's people making cut-ups of Pickens dogging it on routes.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually making business
jogging.
Decisions. He should be traded. Antonio Pierce would hate it.
Pickens is very much like a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Like he's just a child. Sunday Night Football. Oh God, this is going to be the death of me. The Bengals are at the New York Giants. The Bengals are giving 3.5 points.
Oh, wow.
I feel like I've never felt I could see an outcome more than I can see this, which is that Joe Burrow is going to personally deliver me my comeuppance for all of my hesitation about Burrow and the Bengals. And I'm just going to say it right now. The Bengals are 1-4. There's always one team every year, but the Bengals this year, they are 3 plays from being 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, not only if they had hit the 4-1, Joe Burrow would probably be discussed as an MVP candidate if the Bengals actually had won those 3 games. And I think that Joe Burrow is going to throw for 500 yards and 6 touchdowns on the Giants, and I will be like ignited in flames.
I think the ironic part about all the hand wringing, pun intended, I guess, over Joe Burrow this offseason not being able to throw the ball past like 5 yards is he's like been one of the best deep ball passers in the NFL this season. Like by a lot.
For now.
Yeah. No one knows if we're going to be alive tomorrow, DK.
I just feel like Heifetz is reverse jinxing it now, and he's like going to get hurt in this game. But like,
oh yeah, most definitely.
Burrow has been incredible. Burrow's been awesome this season. He's attacking all 3 levels, like really smooth. I think outside of the first game, he's been just like incredible. So it's really fun to see. And again, I can't reiterate enough. T. Higgins is awesome. They need to re-sign T. Higgins.
I agree.
Keep this band together. We do not want this to break up.
It adds a whole new dimension to their offense. I mean, Jamar Chase is the number 1 receiver in fantasy right now, but having the 2 of them, I think, really opens things up for both of them.
Yeah. It's such a good dynamic.
Is this a Costanza? I do think people think the Giants are plucky and that the Bengals aren't good.
No, so I mean, the Giants, it's only 3.5. I also have to tell you, can we have a conversation just privately, the 3 of us?
Yeah, hold on. Let's make sure no one's listening.
Okay, no one else is listening.
The cone of silence.
It's the best day of my life. You guys seen Get Smart?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
He gets promoted. The cone of silence. It glitches. It's the best day of my life. I'm so happy.
So yeah, just between us, cone of silence.
Mm-hmm.
I've been talking to Daniel Jones again. We've been talking. We've been texting.
Okay.
And we're thinking about getting back together.
He's buying in. He's back.
We're thinking, he's my toxic ex that none of my friends like, that I'm talking to, and everyone's like, oh my God.
He had a glow up.
He
honestly did have a glow up. He grew a beard.
Is this like the 4th time you've gotten back together? I feel like you guys have broken up many times.
Like we thought this was the end, but I think he's changed. It's back to how it was.
It's like when Harry met Sally, Sometimes
how it was.
Timing has to be right.
Don't you remember how fun it was in 2022? And like last week, there were shades of it. I'm like, maybe just the neck thing. I really undersold it. And the ACL. I'm like, I know I shouldn't, but
This is getting weird.
No,
I'm just kidding. It's great.
This is how I feel though. I feel
I know.
Like I'm being pulled to something that is bad for me, but I can't resist.
But that's fans. That's fandom. That's sports. You can't help it. I tried to talk you out of this every week. You don't actually want to win, Heifetz. But
man, I cannot wait.
Heifetz sent
the Giants are good. The Giants are good, dude. They're good. Dexter Lawrence is the best fucking defender in the NFL. The line is all right. Like they can block.
You sent me a picture yesterday of yourself wearing a Tommy Cutlets t-shirt. Just put yourself in that mind space for a second.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say. Look, we get caught up in things,
You know when you're deciding whether or not you should like take that shot at midnight, and you're like,
right. I really want to, but
you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna live forever. Let's do it.
We're gonna live forever.
Oh my God.
Tomorrow's never coming. Let's send it.
Yeah, it's one of the.
That's where we are right now. You know what? It's a great place to be. You guys are going to play yourself out of Arch Manning in 2 years. It's the best.
I think I'm going to like reverse course and just actually think. I actually think Heifetz should just embrace this.
I think Jones is going to play well enough to get a contract extension. Do
they even need to? I feel like he's under contract for a while.
Yeah, doesn't he?
The plan was to cut him, take dead money, and now I'm like, oh well, I don't know.
Did he sign a 4-year deal, 2 years guaranteed?
Yeah.
And what year is this? 2 or 3? This is 2.
It depends because they're really 5. 4 is 5. They could cut him for like $20 million.
Can we get the NFL just to make contracts not so confusing?
Oh, dude, no, that's because then you can't money launder. That's a conversation. You're not ready for that conversation.
Daniel Jones is under contract through 2026.
I will say, I keep, it's like, because we've covered the league for so long. I always want, you always think about what are you missing, right? Yeah. And like, not just like game to game, week to week coverages or whatever, like plays or play. I always think like, what are the massive stories happening that you're missing? And I always keep wondering what criminal syndicate has been laundering money through the New Orleans Saints that we will discover 20 years from now. Like, and the Saints are just like a money laundering enterprise. You know what I mean?
Yeah. True Detective season 1. I want that, but like figuring out what's going on with the Saints.
Dude, yeah. It's, you know what I mean? Like Taysom Hill was just like basically like a laundromat as a person. Anyway. All right, that you didn't really care about the one, but thank you for humoring me. Monday Night Football. Bills are at the Jets. Not only did they fire Robert Saleh, but then the new coach, Jeff, I will figure out how to say his name eventually. Olbricht.
Olbricht up.
I heard somebody just say Old Brick. No T.
Olbrolick, more like.
Oh.
Jeff Olbrolick demoted Nate Hackett from play calling duties, and Todd Downing.
This is a power move. I like this.
Electric.
This is
he's telling Aaron Rodgers what's up.
This is like looking him right in the eye and being like, "This, you're in my world now, Grandma."
Check out the name tag.
Oh, do your fingers
go to sleep, or I will put you to sleep.
Yeah.
Well, can I trouble you for a warm glass of milk?
Well, you can trouble me for a glass of shut the hell up.
Shut the hell up.
Your back's going to start hurting because you just pulled lawn duty.
Yeah.
My fingers hurt.
I will say, I think we were right early this week when we talked about how this offense is like very high margin, like for error offense. But Dan Orlovsky had a really, low margin of, what am I saying? Low margin of error.
Right.
But Dan Orlovsky had a great breakdown on NFL Live this week about the Jets offense. And he was talking about the first 4 drives they had, which really kind of ended the game. And he kind of nailed it. It was like, everyone just fucked up. Every player made a mistake. And it was like Aaron Rodgers missed a throw. Garrett Wilson screwed up a screen where he should have scored a touchdown and got 3 yards. The tight ends were a double teaming guy and they let him right. They blew a block. Garrett Wilson ran a wrong route. Alan Lazard dropped a pass. Braylon Allen dropped a screen. Like every single play was screwed up by a different person. And I actually think that it's not just play calling, but there's a certain level of attention to detail. Look, honestly, sometimes teams have bad games. But there's an attention, and it's hard to know whether that's part of a larger trend. But I do think that there's maybe just a lack of attention to detail or just focus for whatever reason. I don't know if that's London being weird, whatever, but I think that's one of those things where coming to this game, that's what I'm focusing on, or just guys like lock the fuck in. Also, insane to think the Jets win this game, they'll be winning the division.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
Like, that's what's crazy about the Saleh firing. Is like everyone wants to shit on him, but it's like the Jets have played the Bills really well under Saleh. They beat him last year without Rodgers. And like, if they win this game, the Jets will be first in the division.
I know. Do you believe in the interim coach theory here? This always happens. We saw it with Antonio Pierce last year.
Yeah, but it's.
I think it's like a 1 week phenomenon, right? Like it's just
the first week with the interim coach, the team always wins.
Yes, but it's different because I know
they didn't hate Saleh.
But exactly. Like when the Antonio Pierce thing was, they fucking hated Josh McDaniels to his core. Yeah. They smoked cigars because he was gone. Like, like that was like they hated his ass.
And like Sauce Gardner loves Saleh. Just tweeted something really nice about him.
Sauce Gardner deleted his social media, but the last thing he posted was basically like, Robert Saleh changed my life. So this is more like, it's almost like a funeral vibe. Like,
but maybe they're like pissed Saleh. Off. Yeah, I was gonna say like this is like playing for him.
And the other thing. Well, just on the Jets, Breece Hall, Fleece Hall, if you have him in fantasy, you have to play Breece Hall this week. The Bills have no defense no run defense. I know it's been tough, and this stat from Bill Barnwell blew me away. The Jets' run plays are expected to gain an average of only 3.7 yards per carry, according to Next Gen Stats, which is the worst mark of any team in the NFL. Having said that, the Bills are the worst run D, or at least of the serious teams, and I still think you do have to play Fleece Hall this week.
What does that mean?
If you can't get it done this week, I'm concerned.
What does that mean? The Jets run plays are expected to gain 3.7 yards. Does that not mean they do average 3.7 yards?
No, it's like trying to normalize for like blocking and holes and stuff. It's based on like player tracking.
I wonder if it has anything to do with like yards.
So they look at how
contact.
the line performs and determine how far a running back should have gotten on a particular run.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, it's yeah.
Austin sent us a tweet the other day, or a stat, I should say, the other day that was like, I want to say the Jets are dead last in, or at least Breece Hall is dead last in yards before contact.
Yeah, he's getting
so
hit
there's like
really
no
early.
blocking. Yeah.
It's kind of like quarterback stats for taking sacks, or some of that's on the line, some of it's on him. But anyway, but the other thing I want to hit on with this game, because I actually kind of think the Jets are going to win. Part of it, dude. I think Josh Allen was concussed last week, and I kind of think he should probably not be playing.
He's not in the concussion protocol then?
No.
Yeah.
He's not. And it's like it's very similar to the Tua thing. And again, Greg Rosenthal talked about this, but it's very similar to the Tua thing. And like, I don't know. Again, you don't know. I'm not a doctor, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. Obviously, I haven't evaluated Josh Allen. Obviously, you don't know what's going on. Having said that, we watched the video. What I think happened, I don't know if you guys saw it, but he fell on his side, like kind of on his shoulder, and he hit his head, like logo of the Bills helmet to the ground. And then he rolled over and flopped on his face. And I think he was doing the fencing pose. I think, where your fencing, for those who don't know, is basically where your arms lock at your elbows, and it's like your brain turns off and your body's like restart mode survival mechanism is to shove your arms in front of your face. And I think that it wasn't recognized as fencing because he was on his face. But if you look at his elbows shoot up and everything. And honestly, it looked like he was knocked unconscious, a lot like Malik Neighbors when he was knocked unconscious against the Cowboys. But he wasn't put in concussion protocol.
It's similar to the Tua situation. Do you guys remember when he got knocked out of that game? And then the Dolphins denied that he had gotten a concussion in that game, and he said it was like a knee injury or something that. Didn't
learned a lot
Josh
about
Allen say that he hurt his ankle on that play too,
and chest, ankle and chest.
So I just learned a lot about the Tua thing this week, actually, about what happened there. And like, long story short, the Tua thing, he got up and he collapsed. What Tua told the doctors on that play was that his back was hurt, but apparently 2 plays before that, there was like a classic back injury play that he'd been snapped around and whiplashed in a way that would hurt your back. And it's not crazy that like if you have a spinal. So what they did on the field is they checked him for a spinal injury. And I think that's how he kind of maneuvered out of the, I don't want to say maneuvered, but like, I think that's how he got away with it, was like, they were like worried about his spine, and they were so focused on his spine that they were like, all right, no broken spine. Cool. Go back in. Yeah. I mean, honestly, Josh was so evasive in the answers today, or like this week, about like, he was like, yeah, I went in, they did the test. It didn't happen. That's all I'll say about it. He was so defensive that I was like, I don't know. I think he also went 1 for 9 after he got hurt. So Josh Allen comes in and isn't playing great. I don't know. Like, it's something like, there is something like, again, the Jets might take the lead in the division right now. So we'll see what happens. But
also with the Bills, I don't know if you guys saw, James Cook had like a really weird fall. He hasn't practiced all week with a foot injury.
He has a turf toe too.
Yeah, he slammed his like toe into the turf, like stretching out for the end zone last week. And it looked pretty tough on the foot. I would not be surprised if he's not playing in this game either.
Everyone's hurt. Everyone's injured.
For fantasy, Ray Davis is the rookie who could be the guy, but also Ty Johnson is there with the Bills. It's kind of like the Colts when Taylor goes down. It's like Trey Sermon and Tyler Goodson. It's like the Bills. It's like, I kind of think Ty Johnson might play more than Ray Davis this week. I don't know.
I think I've seen Bills fans discussing like kind of how the rotation would go. It sounds like maybe Ray Davis would be the early downs guy and Ty Johnson would be passing downs and third downs.
It's such a high bar for rookies to like. It's such a high bar.
It's hard to. It's the protection stuff, I think, is what they worry about.
You get our $250 million quarterback killed?
Who just did not suffer a brain injury?
Yeah, Josh Allen, who never suffered a brain injury. You're going to let him be protected by Ray Davis.
Also, Chloe Shakir not practicing this week, might not play. Kind of looking rough for the Bills.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not going to lie. I think the Jets plus 3.5 are a pretty good one here. I don't think they're Costanza territory.
Okay, so that's all the games. Can I nominate a Costanza that we didn't bring up that I think is a little bit unexpected, but I actually think makes sense?
I think we're going to be on the same page here.
Who's taking the Ravens minus 6.5?
Oh, no, I think a lot of people, because I think the Ravens are favored by that much because the Washington run defense.
I know. I think everyone is like, dude, the Commanders are 4-1. They're the best team in the league. They're the best offense since the 2008 Patriots. And they're getting a touchdown against the Ravens. I think everybody is going to bet the Commanders in this game. Maybe
You think, because I was going to say Costanza is the Patriots straight up beating the Texans.
Yeah, I mean, you can always go to like. This was kind of like an off the cuff one. I agree that the classic is like, whoever the Pats, Panthers, or Browns are playing pretty much. But I thought the Titans against the Colts and the Commanders against the Ravens. Maybe Commanders is too cute.
I see what you're saying because you're like, oh, the Ravens. Like,
I just think everyone's going to be
on
like
the Jayden train. I just think of it as like the conversation coming to the week. Man, is Drake May going to get killed versus the Texans pass rush? And then they just win the game.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we could also, yeah.
What was the other one we talked about? Oh,
Titans.
Dude, honestly, I think the Titans is like really, like no one in the world would bet the fucking Titans right now.
I know, +1. It's so weird.
Is it Titans, Patriots, and then like just taking the Ravens to just beat Washington? Like, yeah, they're probably not.
I don't know. Maybe that's not Costanza enough.
I think
maybe I'll just bet that.
I think not.
I think it's game of the year. Like the point of it being, everyone's like, that's a great game.
Game of the year.
Anything can happen.
I mean, dude, is anyone taking the Panthers over the red hot Kirk Cousins Falcons?
Fuck, that's pretty
in
good
Atlanta. Like, who's taking the fucking Panthers?
I think that's it. I think it's Titans, Panthers, Patriots is the Costanza 3 teams.
Yeah.
No one 10,000 monkeys with typewriters in a million years wouldn't pick those 3 fucking teams together.
Okay, great. Let's make some money.
Let's do it, baby.
Low key, I believe we've hit on a Costanza every week.
Yeah.
One of the games has
just don't parlay that
one. Don't do that.
No, never. Unless you want to win money, but like, yeah.
Right.
All right, there we go. And also amazing college football weekend this too. So, wow. What a weekend of football we
got. I know. Go Ducks. Playing Ohio State.
Dude, you got Texas, Oklahoma, and USC Penn State at 3:30 Eastern, and then Ohio State, Oregon, and Ole Miss LSU.
Craig, you're a Ducks fan because your bro went there, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I almost went there. Not that means anything.
Why didn't you go?
I honestly went to SDSU because of I wanted to like be like a film major, and Oregon didn't really have anything like that. I would have had to do broadcast journalism, which I debated, but I ended
That's
up going.
Funny.
Yeah.
Because now you're
thank
podcaster.
God you didn't end up doing that.
I know.
Imagine where your life would have gone if you had to do broadcast journalism.
Oh, Jesus, poor guy. You imagine? Thank God you're doing movies. All right. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig.
How dare you say that? I am doing movies.
Yeah.
You read my script. Heifetz, you liked it.
It's really good. It's really good. I quote it and then I realized no one's seen it because it doesn't exist. But like I have quoted it to friends and they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like
that's pretty cool. You're literally like one of 4 people. I'll put you in a group text with the only 4 people who did it.
I wanted to, yes. Put us in a text. Oh my God. Follow us on Instagram. Craig's going to post the entire script on Instagram, like just one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Ringer Fantasy Football.
A really long thread. Yeah.
Yeah. The TikTok. We'll just scroll through the entire script on.
Yeah.
TikTok.
We'll do a table read on our Patreon. The 3 of us. We'll play all the characters.
Love that.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Kai Carlos, for producing this episode. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, Kiera. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com about what were the prompts we wanted people to email?
Is your name Land?
Is your name Land? Yeah, vote in the poll on Spotify. Is your name Land? We want to know if your name's Land. Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com if you know anyone named Land. If you're Land, if you've ever dealt with Land Clark, the Land Clerk.
Land.
Oh, I got one. Email us if you have worked with anybody or know anybody whose job reflects their first name.
Yeah.
Nominative determinism.
Yes.
Land Clark, the Land Clerk. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, the Ramones.
Nice.
I don't think I've ever done that one.
I have no
check the
to
tape.
The Ramones whatsoever.
I was listening to the Ramones the other day. I was like, wow, I forgot about this band. I love this band.
I honestly feel like you've been kind of mailing it in lately. He did Rolling Stones the other day. I'm happy with Ramones.
Mailing it in.
Nice job.
Just got too comfortable doing bands at the end.
Blitzkrieg Bop. Isn't that them?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are their songs? I'm sure I know a bunch of their songs, but I couldn't name.
Blitzkrieg Bop. Ooh, what else?
Well, I just saying I Don't Want to Grow Up is like probably my favorite one. There's like Sheena is a punk rocker or something like that.
Sheena is a punk rocker.
All their songs are like 3-chord progressions, very basic, very catchy. Just want to sing along. I love the Ramones.
I
mean, in the sense that I'm not like a super fan, but like I'll always listen to their songs if they're on.
Pet Cemetery? Do I know that?
Da, 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 da. I don't wanna
I
want to be sedated.
That song's good.
I had a friend, I'm watching this music video now. I had a friend say to me the other day, they're like, music doesn't have any fucking instruments anymore.
Yeah.
They're like, remember when people made shit with guitars? Like played instruments for music?
Yeah.
And I'm like watching the Ramones right now. I'm like, yeah, no one plays guitars to make sound anymore. No one plays an instrument. Not nobody, but I'm saying, you know what I mean? Like there's no instruments anymore.
I think popular music has become less dependent on playing instruments, but I mean, like country is still obviously,
of course, but instruments, but also just bands. Like bands are who's the most popular? Like no one has bands anymore. Bands need to come back.
I believe Coldplay is the biggest tour in the world right now.
I think the ghosts are probably screaming at us right now. There's a lot of bands out there.
We
just
crazy?
Don't listen to them. Yeah.
Obviously I get what you're saying. Like the rise of EDM and even most pop music doesn't like Katy Perry's
I'm not saying there's literally zero bands. I'm saying if you name the biggest musical acts from the 60s and 70s and they're bands. They're not necessarily people. And now it's overwhelmingly people over bands right now at this moment in time.
I went on this like little wormhole or whatever, the rabbit hole in Spotify the other day where I was like, because Craig was asking me, who is the Smashing Pumpkins like? And I was like, I don't know how to answer that. So I was like going back and listening to the Smashing Pumpkins. Siamese Dream, by the way, such a good album. And they have like one of the, I think, main attributes of that album in particular is like super heavy distortion on their guitars. And you guys will recognize it if you hear it's like just slamming chords, like heavily distorted. Like I feel like distorted guitars is not really a thing that most pop music has anymore. Mm-hmm. And so I was like going down that rabbit hole, and I ended up with the Ramones randomly.
Oh,
but like Smashing Pumpkins are somewhere in between. I don't know, like Soundgarden and the Ramones, and there's like a bunch of other bands in that sort of like world and that genre. It's
I like the Ramones,
grunge / punk.
Yeah. Heifetz, I mean, to your point though, isn't that literally just because when you wanted to like make music back in the day, you literally needed other people to play the instruments for you if you wanted to sing, and nowadays you can just like have a computer play all the instruments?
I think you just make it with the computer as the instrument.
It's just
I guess
technology.
People learn it. I know, it's just downstream of that. I'm just saying, I think I'm just nostalgic. But yeah, I mean, it's just...
With that said, like Levels is awesome. So,
dude, of course. I mean,
you know who else I was listening to the other day? Speaking of distorted guitars, Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
See that I miss them too. Like that,
just good old. I went down I went from like Soundgarden to Audio Slave to Rage Against the Machine because Audio Slave, I believe, was the band members.
I have never heard of
Rage Against the Machine.
Audio
Slave was the lead singer from Soundgarden.
I remember like actively hating. No, Audio Slave is a band.
What?
Audio Slave is a band, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought you said he was the lead singer for Soundgarden.
No. Chris Cornell was the lead singer for Soundgarden, and then he started Audio Slave, with I believe the band from Rage Against the Machine. They like collaborated and made a new band.
Audio Slave was the original name of the Ringer, and then they were like, "No, that doesn't work." DK, I remember actively hating Audio Slave growing up. I remember like listening to their music, and I was like, "Oh, this sound is not for me."
Interesting.
I know. There's just something about that specific era that like did not connect with me. I don't know how old I was when Audio Slave was
6.
Did you like Rage?
Not
6-year-old Craig's like, not for me.
Yeah.
No, this Tom Morello guy.
The meme of like the guy ripping off his headphones, that was me listening to Audio
No,
Slave.
you know that meme of the podcasters, like the 3 podcasters that are like 11 and they're just like sitting around. They're like, I don't like Tom Morello.
Not a fan of Chris Cornell's voice.
Pitchy dog.
He's like the iconic voice.
But no, Rage Against the Machine, not for me.
What?
Sorry.
Oh,
I know. I'm sorry. I don't know.
God.
Maybe that's
you know what? But the Machine, I'm kind of like the millennials. Just like we're like, yeah, sure, Machine sounds great.
There's a lot of people who listen to Rage Against the Machine who were not raging against the Machine at all. They didn't know what the Machine was.
Right.
And I might be speaking for myself.
We weren't a part of that like Woodstock 99 culture. We were too young for that.
Speak for yourself.
I think we owe Sprint $90. All right.
I was like a Warped Tour 99 kind of kid.
Didn't you go to a Warped Tour concert that Kevin Clark also turned out to be at?
No, that was a Weezer concert.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When in 2001, I flew to Florida to go to a Weezer concert and found out like 15 years later that Kevin Clark was also there. Kevin's like, I don't know, he's 7 or 8 years younger than me. So he was like in elementary school or middle school or something. But yeah, good stuff.
Goodbye, everyone.